Message from Jane. Yes, thank you. And Renata's recording us, so thank you, Renata. All right. So I have a message from Jane. She wanted everyone to know that she was attending the 85th anniversary celebration of IOD Shepherdie, and that she wouldn't be in attendance today, but she's going to be watching the workshops on the website. So we need to be good girls if we're going to be on TV, so to speak. All right. So I just thought I'd tell you a little bit about myself. One is I have never been a membership officer. So you get the literally the new girl on the block, and I'm relying on those of you who have been officers in the past and your past knowledge to help me. And of course, when I was preparing for this workshop, I realized that the membership officer has an incredible number of forms that she has to deal with that you don't think about when you're not the membership officer. So we will talk about those forms if time allows, but our primary purpose today is to review the annual report. And Renata will share that screen with us when she has a moment. Perfect. Good. So you may or may not already know that the primary annual chapter reports are already on the website, and they are available there for you to download should you wish to do so. And I'm always someone who likes to begin things early. So if you're able to start filling it in by just putting in some of your basic information, you're ahead of the game a little bit if you're someone who does this online. The other suggestion I have for you is if you are doing it with a pen, that you consider using a very fine marker, a black marker that would be easier to read. Often these forms are scanned, and by the time they get to the officers to read them, they become a little bit faint, right, Hazel? Liz? Yeah, they become very faint. So we really appreciate them being filled in online if possible, but if not, use a black ink. And of course, all reports are due by the end of January of 2025, and certainly early reports are welcome as well. It makes it less for us to read all at once. So the instructions are on the form as to where you're to send your form, and many of you have provincial offices to send them to, and Ontario has its own specific set of regulations or instructions. And of course, always send a copy to IODE National Office. Now, again, there are designated email addresses for the reports, and that's clearly identified at the top of the report. Does anyone have any questions about that section? Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go for your question.
So they're fillable online?
Correct.
Okay.
Or they can be printed off and filled in, by hand. But then again, they would have to be scanned and either saved as an attachment, or do we even still have a fax machine at the national office? No, so that's not possible. But if you are filling it in by hand, as I suggest, a black pen would really be, or black ink is most helpful. Liz?
I was just going to say that once those forms are sent to the National Report Gmail account, the officers are able to review all of them. So every chapter report that comes in, every report that comes in from every chapter are there, and it makes it much easier for people to generate cumulative reports.
And because it's under the members' resources section, all of us can see them.
Yeah.
Helen?
Yep. I was just going to mention that if they don't have a scanner, what some of the people do is take a picture of it and then send the picture. And that is almost sometimes better than the scanner.
Yeah, that's right. But again, black ink would be helpful, correct, Helen?
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
And save it as a JPEG rather than as a photo, because it's very hard to enlarge the photos to actually be able to read them.
Thank you for that. Save as a JPEG. And
no,
Please save it as a PDF,
A
not a
PDF,
JPEG.
sorry. Thank you, Renata. I misspoke. Yes, a PDF is the only way that anybody else can really not a JPEG, was what I was trying to say. Thanks, Renata.
And last but not least, don't forget to make a copy for yourself. All right, so now here is the report. So I just kind of mocked it up a little bit. And obviously it's pretty straightforward: chapter name, your location in your province, and who's to be contacted should there be any questions, and of course an email address. I personally think it would be helpful if that telephone number said, cell or home, so that you would know what you were actually calling. So we had quite a bit of discussion this morning about members and who was to be included and who wasn't. New to the form this year, I believe, is the section or the comment that says including deceased. So the number of paid up members you had as of December 31st, including any of those who may be deceased, because of course they did pay their membership. And number of members who did not renew, including deceased. Then number of members transferred from your chapter, so those would be leaving you, and number of members transferred to your chapter, and those would be ones you've gained. And the number of new paid up members in 2024, and then of course paid up members as of December 2024, including deceased. So a lot of our discussion this morning was about new paid up members, and I'll come to that a little bit further down. All right, let's see. Please note the purpose of the, did I put that in there? No, I didn't. No, I'm looking at my form. Note the purpose of the IOD membership awards. New members must have paid full or partial dues for installation after the 1st of July for the year stated. I'm not sure if I quite understand that comment, Helen. Maybe you can help me here, or Liz.
I think
Sure.
when there's partial dues, the
Yeah.
partial dues would apply after July 1st.
Okay, that's what, okay. Thank you for clarifying that for me.
And there is a table that tells you what percentage of dues they pay if they join after.
Yeah. Okay, so new members, Mary Brown. So she joined on the 9th of March in 2024. So that information either would come from you, the membership officer, or perhaps from the minutes of the secretary. And then we had a lot of discussion about the next section. So Judy Smith, she's a past member and hasn't renewed her membership for 4 years and has rejoined. Now, I was of the understanding, because of that we have that situation in our chapter, that if a member has lapsed for 2 years or more, they are considered new members. But this morning's discussion was somewhat different. Many felt it was 5 years. Liz, 2. Helen? You say 2 as well. Okay, well, that's interesting. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that up at NAC next week, or the board meeting, because there was quite a bit of confusion with regard to that this morning. Okay, let's see what I wrote here for notes, because all right, then we talked about welcome packages. So what do chapters do for welcome packages? Now, one chapter actually, and I think it was Gail, sent me the information that said in her particular chapter, Angela Bruce, they make sure the new member has at a glance a quick IOD, and in her circumstance, Ontario reference, an explanation of membership fees, the bylaws of the chapter, and the shop policies for their thrift store, which was hopefully other chapters do something similar. But I personally have a question with regard to membership fees. Do many chapters charge an additional fee to offset some of their additional expenses? Some chapters charge another $10. Some charge nothing.
I could respond to that with our chapter.
Okay.
The 250 is for our, what we call our flower fund.
Ah, okay.
And anything that can't be paid by chapter money, we take out of the flower fund. So it's usually, for flowers, for birthday cards, perhaps postage if we are sending out something special to a member who's ill. So that's essentially what our flower fund covers.
And it's 250 for the whole year?
250 for the whole year, and that's from every member. Yeah.
Okay.
And then every time somebody doesn't wear their pin to a meeting, they have to put in $2. So we do, we usually have over $100, $150 in the flower fund ongoing.
That's interesting. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? I can't see everybody, so
Liz has her hand up.
Thanks, Nadine. Just a reminder that the money that goes into your flower fund doesn't actually go through the books.
no.
Our chapter has a flower fund. I can't remember, we don't always call it that, but it's a money extra that we pay over and above our membership, usually in cash, just to make it easy. And that doesn't go into our general revenue account. It goes into a special account that we use to buy flowers or whatever.
So you have a special bank account or just?
Yeah, we do have a
petty
special
cash?
bank account, but it can be kept in cash, but it's not supposed to go into your
Operating.
revenue stream. And the what was the other thing you mentioned? Oh, about not wearing your badge to meetings. We also have a dollar jar that people put money into if they've forgotten to wear their badge. And must admit that jar is kept separately and is added to our snack pack donation each year.
That's interesting.
Which it's a bit like the swear jar, except it's a no badge jar. If I had a swear jar at home, that would probably be going to snack pack too. But our chapter rounds our membership up. We pay chapter fees and provincial fees as well as the national fee, and then we're rounded up to an even number just to cover some of our extra expenses. But we were told that flower fund money is used for whatever and shouldn't go through the books. That's my understanding. Helen, do you have a different answer to that?
That's what I understand as well.
Yes,
And me too.
and life memberships come out of the flower fund also. Our chapter does it a little bit different. We have 50-50 draws after the meeting where we all put in our $2 and 50% of that goes to the flower fund or, that fund. And the other 50 is the members' winnings, and she can do whatever she wants with that.
Or donate it back.
Yes, often that's what happens. Yeah.
Okay, so
One more question.
oh, sorry. Thank
Who
you.
pays for the badge for the new member?
The chapter.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
The chapter.
The chapter. Good. Thank you.
That's a chapter expense. That was another question this morning with regard to a member who is lapsed and then comes back. When members decide to not continue their membership, do others ask them back for their badges back? Okay. So let's say I'm gone for 3 years and I come back. Am I reinstalled using the badge I had in the past? You wouldn't give them a new badge. Okay.
Not if they haven't returned it. I don't know many chapters who ask for badges back at the end of their membership. But, you know, a 3-year lapse in paying fees makes for a new member, but you can reinstall them using their previous badge if they still have it. If a member loses a badge, we usually get the member to pay for a replacement. The chapter pays for the original badge, but
yeah, they pay the replacement fee.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you advertise your meetings? So some of you may do it through your local newspapers, public service announcements. Some of you may do it by social media. Some of you may just do it by word of mouth. I doubt if anybody does posters anymore in terms of putting them up in the old Safeway or anything like that. So that is something we like to know about, how you advertise your meetings, how you attract members, and maybe yours is a chapter where you don't advertise, and that would be interesting for us to know about as well. Do most people advertise their meetings, or how do others do that?
We do not advertise our meetings. We don't have a local paper any longer.
Okay.
Certainly, we do. If anyone is interested in IODE, we usually, it's word of mouth. People sometimes come into our thrift store and they indicate an interest in the chapter. We will certainly invite them out to a meeting, but we don't put ads in the paper, unfortunately, anymore, because there is no paper.
That's right. But I think you have the added advantage of having a thrift store, so you have a presence.
We do.
Yeah, for sure. All right. How do you keep members engaged? And again, we want to know what works for your chapter so that we're able to share that information with others. So maybe it's personal contact, maybe it's email communication, maybe it's just phoning people and saying, you know, we haven't seen you in a while. Do you think you'd like to come to the next event, or could you help with an upcoming fundraiser? Does anyone have anything they'd like to share with regard to how they keep members engaged?
We do all that, don't we?
Well,
You probably do all that. Yeah.
I can just say that because we have a thrift store, most people want to be involved with the thrift store, whether it's on a sales or whether it's pricing. So quite a few of our members are involved with our big project, which is the thrift store. That's how we keep people engaged, or we give them a job on the executive, maybe an assistant to somebody.
And are you operating the thrift store Monday to Friday, or how?
We operate the thrift store Tuesday to Saturday, and we price on Mondays and Thursdays. So we do have quite a large staff that volunteer. Some volunteer the same time every week. Some volunteer the same time, but maybe once a month. So it varies, you know, it depends on what people's time is available to us.
I'm sorry, I just have to take this call. I apologize.
That's okay.
Hello? Yes, is this Dave?
If you wish to chat, I can cut this part out of the video.
Okay,
Oh,
I apologize. I wear a second hat. I'm a board member here in the building where I live, and my building manager is away, and I'm her for 5 minutes. So I'll be back.
Yeah, I will tell everyone what our chapter does. We have about 40 members in our chapter, so we're a larger chapter, and we do quite a few fundraising activities. But we have one person that organizes to make sure that every job that we have is full. In other words, like you may have heard that we're doing butter tarts next week. We're doing 125 butter tarts, 125 dozen butter tarts. Now that takes about 20 of us to do it because we have sort of like an assembly line. And in order to do that, our one person will send out a sheet and say, okay, who wants to do the pastry? Who's going to do the nuts and raisins? Who's going to do all the different jobs she's got listed? And so you volunteer for which job you have. And then if there's empty spots, she will start phoning different people who haven't volunteered in a while and said, we're short in this area here. Could you help out? And that seems to be working pretty good. And, some people, like next week, we're also helping with hot chocolate and cookies at the Christmas parade. And so, if you don't want to make butter tarts, can you help with the hot chocolate and cookies and things like this? And so she keeps track of who does what. And so it's not always the same people doing the same all the time and being called on all the time. So this is the first year we've tried it, and it's working very well.
That's great, Helen.
Yeah. I guess she picked that up from another organization, like Lions Club or someplace like that. They have someone who does that. And so, yes, we're trying it in our little group too.
What job title do you call her?
She's a volunteer coordinator.
Oh, that's a good name.
Yes. And we do have a lot of our new members come out to our fundraisers to help first. And that seems to work well because it's informal and it's not a meeting, and they get to meet you as a person. And so, excuse me, it's different than a meeting though.
That's a great plan. That's really, really a great plan.
I apologize
Thanks.
for that. We have two furnaces that are not working in the building, and that's never fun. And our building manager isn't here today, and she said, well, could I give the furnace representative the keys to the furnace area downstairs? And I said, well, I'm on a Zoom between 12 and 1, of course. Anyway, thank you for your patience. Okay, what do you think, Renata? Are we back on stream? We are. Okay. Did you have a nice chat while I was gone? Oh, good. Okay, we were talking about keeping members engaged. So I presume you continued with that discussion. Now, non-renewing members. So in the form I put, follow up with non-renewing members. Perhaps there's a way to bring them back to the chapter. Maybe they no longer drive and need a ride. If the meeting time is no longer suitable, consider alternatives. An alternative could be a Zoom meeting during the winter months, meeting at a different time. And my other suggestion was keep those former members in your correspondence by creating a chapter's friends email distribution list. So that way you could still invite them to special luncheons, fundraising events, and they may be still very willing to support the chapter, but just don't want to continue as a member. So do others have any other suggestions? No hands? You see any hands up, Renata? I mean, Nadine? No? Okay. Well, then we'll continue. How can IOD Canada or the provincial officer assist your chapter with membership growth and retention? And I think some of that you can find with keeping chapters healthy document. But then if there's something that you really feel you need assistance with or direction, please reach out to the provincial officers or the national office, because there's a wealth of information and knowledge within this group of people, and even amongst your other chapter members. Okay, so chapter activities and events that promote membership. So tell us what kind of activities and events you host, where you've promoted the membership in your chapter, and tell us about these activities, whether they were success, not a success, I can't talk, not a success, or even if they weren't an success, why weren't they a success? What did I do that maybe didn't work but maybe it would work for somebody else. I mean, we all learn from our mistakes, don't we? How do you display yourself at an event? Do you have a banner? Do you have a pop-up stand? Do you always have a sign? Do you have business cards? Do you have the IOD brochure available, or even past copies of echoes? So I can speak for myself. Our chapter has for many years always given out scholarships. And at that particular reception, when we give the recipient their scholarship and their certificate, in the envelope will be a past copy of an echoes, will be a chapter, the IOD Canada brochure information. And several years ago, we were fortunate enough that we had a donor donate enough money so that we were able to give each one of the students a day planner. And that day planner resulted in one of the mothers calling national office and saying, how do I get one of those? So I made this suggestion again this year, but I got shot down because they said all the young people use everything electronically, but you never know, they might. So does anybody wish to tell us about some of the events they promote, how they promote their membership?
I'd like to ask that question specifically to Bev Slay, because I think your chapter does fun things, and I think we'd all like to hear about some fun things your chapter does.
Well, or you might be referring to the dinner that we do. Is that what you're referring to? So at Christmas time, instead of going to a restaurant, we have, my home is big enough that I can probably seat 26 or so people. Well, I have done that. So they come for dinner, and it's a lot more of a comfortable setting, and then people can just talk to each other and that sort of thing. And then we serve a 3-course meal, and everybody really enjoys it. They actually pay for it too, and all of the funds except for the expenses for the meal go back into the chapter. So they enjoy doing that.
So do you have that catered, or is that something
No,
you're cooking?
no, there's 2 of us and we cook it ourselves.
Well, good for
And
you.
there's one of the other members as well. She'll often donate the dessert, so she'll make the dessert, and that's served after. So yeah, we do that. We do it in June as well. We do it twice a year. We'll make about $900 each time.
And what do you charge?
We charge $40 for the meal. $25, they get a tax receipt from IODE Canada. And then the rest of the money goes to expenses, and then whatever's left goes into our flower fund.
What a great idea.
Oh, yeah, it is good. And so, yeah. And then one of the other things we do that's kind of fun is we work at the St. John exhibition every year for a week. And we sit and monitor the handcraft section. We just make sure nobody steals anything. But while we're doing that, we're sitting with another one of our members. So you get to know another member quite well. So maybe someone you haven't worked with before. And so you get to sit and talk to them for, a couple of hours while you're monitoring people.
And is that considered a volunteer activity, or are they reimbursing you a small fee for your service?
It's one of our major fundraisers as well. So we get money for that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Do you give out brochures or echo magazines while you're there?
No, we don't, but we have on display who we are so that people can see our IODE sign, and they can come by and ask questions about it if they choose to. And people do, they'll ask who we are. So that's good. Yeah.
And may I ask what you serve for a menu?
Well, in a couple of weeks, we're going to be doing a chicken dinner. Would you like to come?
Yes, thank you. Oh, that's great.
Thanks, Bev.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Does anyone else?
Gail's hand.
Yeah.
Gail has her hand up.
Okay, Gail, thank you.
I was going to mention that in the summer, we have one of our members hosts a pool party, and we pay a minimal amount. I think it's about $10 to go to the pool party. And then she has bingo and 50-50 draw and various things like that go on. And we raised almost $600 at the pool party. This was just for members and friends who work at the shop. And that money went towards funding the nursing station, which we just adopted. And we were able to buy, quite a lot of stuff to send up. I think we sent something like 8 boxes up to them this fall. So
Wow.
it was a really nice event. People enjoyed it. The money went to a good cause, and we didn't have to take it out of chapter funds. And I think it's going to become sort of an annual
event.
summertime event. Yes.
Nice. My chapter, we've done 3 concerts, and they were in the fall, and we charged $20, and of course had to pay the musicians and a fee for the venue. But again, we made a significant amount of money. And recently we just had a trivia evening, and a couple ladies here locally prepare a trivia, and they don't charge. And we managed to have about 40 people and made about $800. And everybody had a great time and said, "Are you going to do this again next year?" And it was easy to do because yeah. Liz, you have your hand up, but you're mute.
I was going to ask Gail what chapter she is in. I can't remember.
Oh, Gail, is she not in Angela Bruce?
Yes,
Okay,
I'm
thanks.
in Angela Bruce chapter in Oakville, Ontario.
We'll look for your discussion of that on your annual report, the services report. Sorry, I'm looking for fun ideas and the ways that chapters work together.
And I think we've heard. I mean, unfortunately, Bev's is a lot of work. You got to cook.
Yeah.
But you could even do a potluck and still charge a nominal fee, really.
Yes.
Correct? Okay, wow. This is an interesting discussion with this group as compared to this morning's group. Well, that's good though, isn't it? All right.
Helen has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Helen.
That's okay. I was going to mention an activity that we did with our members. It was a mystery tour, and we had 2 people in our chapter volunteer to do it. So they took off ahead of time and went to all these different places. And then about a week later, what we did, there were, I think, close to 24 of us that we were in different cars, and we had different stops along the way. So I think there were like 7 different stops, and each stop was the clue was a song. Like, so the first one was like Diamond and Garfunkel, Scarborough Fair, so we ended up going to a herb farm, and we all stopped there, and they showed us how to do a little whatever. But the thing was, the next time we got in a car, we had to get in a different car with different people.
Oh, so you couldn't be the same people all the time.
We couldn't have the same people, and they had us rotating all the way through everything. And so it was a fun day for, the members. Now, as I told other people this, they said, "Oh, well, you have to do it again and let us join." So that's
that would be fun, really, when you think about it. It's sort of like our trivia. People were, different age groups at different tables. So the table that I was supposed to be at was full, and I landed up being at somebody else's table. But if I'd stayed with my original table, who came in second, I wouldn't have been at the table that came in third. But again, everybody comes with a different bit of knowledge. So it was a variety of age groups, which made it quite fun. And including other age groups attracts new members, doesn't it? Because I think when members see people having fun, then they want to be part of that fun. Or part of that work, whichever. Okay, so then this morning we talked about the different kinds of awards, be 5-year, 10-year, 20, etc., and membership pins. And of course, the membership officer has all that critical information. And is probably should be responsible for bringing that information forward to the executive so that members can be recognized. Now, I'll be honest here, I'm not much of a pin person, but I know some people are pin people. So that's certainly pins are available for purchase for the significant years. But if that is something that the chapters really can't afford, perhaps consider a certificate of appreciation. And that certificate of appreciation can be found on the IODE website. And present that to the individual, maybe at a Christmas luncheon or some other special occasion. And if you can afford it, from the flower fund, perhaps give them a rose. As they leave the event and someone says, gee, don't you have a lovely rose? Well, gee, I got that at my IODE luncheon, recognizing me for my years as a member. So I wondered if anyone else had any other ways that they recognize their members. No, okay.
Flowers that award one time.
I don't see any hands up, but then I can't see the entire screen, so. Okay, oh, Liz.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry to be talking so much. We just gave one of our members her 30-year pin, although she's been in IOD for 36 years, but she's been unable to attend meetings recently for physical reasons. So we took the meeting to her house.
Oh, how lovely.
A bit presumptuous, but she is celebrating tomorrow her 95th birthday. So we had a little birthday celebration. We gave her her pin. The advantage of the pin is that it comes with a certificate, which, you know, most people aren't going to frame, but it comes with a letter from the president. And I think she was quite chuffed. She loved the fact that we all turned up at her house. Her carers made coffee for us. We had brought treats and flowers. But she asked if we could maybe bring some further meetings to her place because she could going on participating. So I think the pins, I agree, not everybody's a big pin person, but I think in some way recognizing the amount of work that members do with their chapters. And it's a great way of acknowledging that and keeping contact with members who may not be able to join meetings but still wish to belong.
I like that.
It was great fun.
Take the meeting on the road. I think that's kind of cool.
Yes.
All right. So then the other discussion this morning was about primary life memberships. And I don't recall which chapter it was, but one of the chapters this morning said they don't even consider doing a primary life membership until someone has been a member for at least 50 years, which is a considerable length of time, depending when you join the chapter. However, this is an opportunity to recognize the service of executive members and members at large who make a significant contribution to the chapter and its successes. And of course, we all know there's a fee associated with that, and I believe it's $60. Mm-hmm. So this may be, cost prohibitive for some chapters as well. I know in the past, I think our chapter has been doing it for past presidents, but really, I'm of the opinion it should be for significant contributions that the person has made, whether they're an executive member or not. Sometimes there's just a silent partner out there, isn't there? Anyone else have any feedback with regard to life membership awards?
Can I jot in?
Absolutely.
Just to say that Laurentian chapter has got criteria, and it basically doesn't depend on just the number of years, but it actually composes people's contribution to the running of the chapter, fundraising, and particularly bringing in new members. And so it can be anybody who's just with us 5 years, but if they've done a sterling job and achieved all that criteria, then we do give them a life membership. So we've got actually 3 members at the moment who perhaps somewhere else would have achieved a life membership, but because they haven't brought any new members in,
this next year, I'm going to sort of whisper in their ears and say, please, will you consider trying to get some new members, and then you'll meet the criteria.
That's very good. That'd be, and then please put that in your annual report saying, this is what
Yes.
Laurentian
Well, we've
does,
had- Yeah, we've had it for quite a few years when Marion Craig was membership officer, and I'm sure she's probably, stuck it as an appendix to a report in the past, but I can do it again this year, certainly.
Sure, that would be wonderful.
Mm.
Okay, so
I would like to ask Helen something about this. As far as primary life memberships, well, this is a national meeting, so every chapter or every province maybe has a different criteria, but shouldn't that be standardized so that I don't think we do enough to sort of celebrate the good things that that members do in the chapter, and it seems like it's a lot of work to put together something to present to the primary life membership. And I'm just wondering, Helen, do we, and I think we do have a criteria that you go by in order to put someone forward for a primary life membership. Could you explain that a little better?
I know at the provincial level, we ask for 3 letters of reference.
That's different though. I'm
outlining
talking
it.
about primary.
But at the primary level, I tell people that if you have someone who wasn't there doing the job that they have, how much would your chapter miss them? And if they say, we'd miss them a lot, then give them a primary life membership and show that, that you would like them to have that. As I think it's vague because each chapter, again, has their own sort of criteria. It's sort of like Janet was just saying how Laurentian has a certain criteria and it's written down and they've agreed to it. But that's, I think, leaving it up to the chapter, the primary chapter. If you, think somebody is very deserving of a life membership, because at one time you used to be able to buy your life memberships.
Oh, really?
That's back in the 1920s.
Wow.
In the 1920s, you could pay for your own life membership, and then you would never have to pay membership fees again. But that's like, you'd pay your $50 and membership fees were like $2. And so never have to pay it again. That doesn't work now. A life member is still expected to pay her membership fees. So that is very set.
Well, I certainly like your analogy of, would you miss this member if they weren't here in terms of what they contribute? That makes it a lot easier to put a name forward.
Yes. Bev, just before I come to you, I'm looking at the application form and it does say for a primary member, a life member, that it needs to be supported by 3 written recommendations from members of the primary chapter. And for a provincial life, again, 3 recommendations from members of the provincial chapter. So, okay, Bev.
Is that really kind of like a sponsorship? Like, do they have to do the work of researching to put together a proposal as to why this person should get it? Or is it simply saying, I support giving this person a primary life membership?
Could I answer that?
Sure.
Please.
Okay, I think often you look at your membership officer because they have the sheet with all the criteria, what the person's been involved in, your president, and then maybe the treasurer, because the treasurer has to pay for the primary life,
No.
or take it out of there. But you should have at least the 3 people. Now, whether it's in writing or not, if the 3 people or your committee is in agreement that this person should get a life membership, then it takes out any favoritism, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Okay, Bev,
Thank
now
you.
now
Thank you, Helen.
Thanks, Helen.
Can I
Yes,
jump in on this?
Well, Bev's got her hand up, so I'll let you
Oh,
come
okay.
after that.
No, you answered my question about the 3 people, because I was told we had to fill out that form, which is supposed to be on the website somewhere.
It is.
It is.
Okay.
I downloaded it.
Yeah, because our chapter is looking for that. But yes, I'm also planning to do that in the new year. But I'm also wondering about, as someone said, you don't want to upset anyone. So I'm trying to figure out how to mitigate that as well, because we have 3 people that we want to subdue in January or February, but yeah, there's other people in our chapter that deserve it just as much. So we're just not really sure. I mean, I should give one to everybody, but anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
You more or less answered my question, so thank you.
Okay, Nadine.
yes,
This document is called Guidelines for Primary Chapter Membership Officers. I got it from the website where
Thank
it
you.
says membership officers. The second page says life membership. All chapters of the organization may grant life membership to their respective members for valuable and continuing service to the chapter concerned. So you heard about it needs to be approved by 3 other members of the chapter. This does not give any guideline about what they have to do to become a life member. They need to be important to your chapter, and it's up to your chapter members to make that decision. And it's great that nobody else tells you what you have to do. Your chapter will decide.
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay, and then
Can I?
Janet.
Yeah, just can I say, as well as the the listed criteria which we've got in the policies, we also do a survey around all the members except for that member who we're talking about. So we'll do something like a survey monkey to everybody and say, this is the criteria. Do you agree that we award this member a life membership, the next annual general meeting? And then people will say yes or no coming back, and we'll look at the responses of everybody in the chapter.
Okay, interesting. All right, well, we're getting close to the end of our time, and I did receive some questions ahead, and we certainly talked about welcome packages, so thank you for that. One of the questions that came up was, does anyone have a survey type of questionnaire that could be given to new members for them to share their interest in terms of how they like to participate or volunteer with the chapter? And one of the suggestions we gave this morning was review the document Keeping Chapters Healthy for ideas. Does anyone have a survey or a questionnaire, or perhaps when a new member comes, you have a mentor who says, hi, Nadine, I'm Natalie, I do this. Is there something of interest to you? And tell them about the work of the chapter.
I do believe that our chapter has got a questionnaire, and what it is comprised of is each one of the positions, like membership, citizenship, education. There is a little definition of what that job entails, and we give that to the new member to read over, and they indicate the areas that they are interested in. Perfect. Whether it be education, services, or whatever. It was developed by our president probably about a year ago. And I think it's quite an effective way to get some idea of what those interests are from a new member. First of all, they've got to know what it is that we do in that particular portfolio.
Is that a document you'd be willing to share with us? Not right now, but in a future date?
Frozen.
Gail, you're on mute.
Who should
froze.
I send that to? Natalie?
Yeah, you can send it to me and I'd be happy to share. Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Anyone else? Good. Okay, so then we had another question. How can we get contributions from outside groups to support our initiatives? And I don't think that's necessarily a membership question. It's more of a fundraising question. So I'll defer it to whomever. Oh, hang on again. Here I am at the door. Hold on.
I have another Zoom call starting in 5 minutes, so I'm going to leave. If you could explain. I did tell Natalie that I would be leaving early, but if you could pass on my thanks, and I will see you all in the future. Bye.
Thanks for coming, Liz.
Bye.
Honest to goodness, I never get this many people at my door. I apologize again. Anyway, okay, where were we?
About getting a check from an outside source. We just got one today, and it came from the Mandarin restaurant, and they gave us a check for $1,000.
Oh,
Again, it was through we have a new member who is from the Asian community, and she has been doing a huge amount of work with selling stuff by presenting pictures on a website called WeChat. And she knows the sorts of things that appeal to the Asian community. She therefore takes pictures of those items, and she's now got that 400 members on that WeChat waiting for the Monday pictures to come through of what's new in the shop. And often,
cool.
Yeah, so the items are selling quite quickly, and it's brought in a whole new group of customers into our store. And today, when she came in, she actually had a check in hand from the Mandarin restaurant in Mississauga for $1,000. And we were just checking out whether or not through National that they could get a corporate tax receipt. And our treasurer just called me on my way home to this meeting to say that she had run it by National, and yes, they could. So, so we're good to go.
That one.
How nice is that?
Mhm.
I know
How
for our
nice is that? Exactly.
Yeah, I know for our scholarship program, we have 3 regular donors to the chapter of $1,000 each, and of course they get a tax receipt. So it's a win-win. We get the money, someone gets the scholarship, and they get a tax receipt.
Right.
Helen, you have your hand up.
I was going to say I belong also to the virtual chapter in Ontario, and we have again these new members that are brand new. And what they did, they wrote a letter to. We have an adopted school up in Attawapiskat, just off James Bay, and they wrote a letter to the different publishers and mentioned that we would like to give new primary books to our adopted class up there. And now I think she wrote about 20 letters, but we received information from 2, and got books. And in another one, we got a donation of funds to help with the shipping for things up there. So it's one of those where if you ask, at least
Yep.
they become aware of it.
Yep.
And, that helps. Now, I know they're going to a seniors fair next week in a city that used to have an IODE chapter, but no longer does. But they have put together a paper regarding Snack Pack and how to donate to Snack Pack, etc. So they said you need a definite cause. You just don't ask for funds.
Yeah.
You need a
Yes.
cause
Yes.
and ask for funds for that cause. And then, probably you'll get something in return.
And you need to say how you're promoting them as well. Like what's in it
Exactly.
for them,
Yes.
not just a thank you. Is it published somewhere else? Thank you for
Mhm.
those suggestions. One of the other questions was, have chapters moved from evening to afternoon meeting times? And I think many chapters have, because of course the demographics of the group, they don't necessarily want to drive in the evening. I know my chapter has always met on a Saturday around lunchtime to accommodate working individuals, and that still continues to work for us. We do the occasional. A number of chapters this morning said that their meetings were always hybrid. So have people here changed their meeting times or gone to hybrid? No. Okay. And so again, this question was beat up quite a bit this morning. How is a returning member recorded who has been absent for 2 years? And we discussed that earlier. And then the question was also asked, how is this recorded in the provincial and national database? Because of course they're not considered a new member. And when I asked Roma the question, she said after 2 years, they're considered a new member. So I think we all agree on that one, correct?
Okay.
Does anyone else have any other questions or comments? Yeah, go ahead.
Is that me?
That's okay.
Sorry, Natalie. I'm just wondering, for next year, for the 125th anniversary, is National considering doing any advertisement or getting, how can I explain it? Perhaps CBC or something to do a documentary on IOD itself, so that we can. It's very difficult to do it locally, particularly in a place like Ottawa where we're so spread out. In a small town, it's probably fairly much more easy. But I'm just wondering, something coming from the top down out to the whole, population in Canada to tell us we're still here, we're still working. It's very difficult for at our level to do a massive amount other than just recruit one member here, one member there, and so on.
So Helen, you're probably better to answer that question than me, since you're the chair of the 125th.
Helen?
Yes. I think the easiest part to make a big awareness is if you contact your MPP or your MP and let them know that IODE is celebrating 125 years. Now, if enough of us do that, then they can bring it forward. I know myself, I have applied for a display to be put into the Ontario Parliament buildings. They have a big display area there, and I've made that application. I haven't received word from them that they are willing to put it in yet. So, and the ironic part is, part of that application, they say you cannot show your logo. So everything about IODE has the logo on it. So it's like, how do you show something and talk about IODE without showing the logo? And I think I found a way around that. Like, we've got the Jean Troop Book Award and the Violet Downey Book Awards, and our services programs, helping up in the Northern Ontario and Labrador and, adopted schools and all that. So if we talk about that and show that sort of thing, that's a way around. But in contacting your MPP, just writing a quick letter saying next year is IODE's 125th anniversary. Could you mention it in Parliament? And if one mentions it, then another one say, oh, I got one of those too. I've got one. And we could even go so far as saying, could we have the week or could we have our Founders Day celebrated or declared as IODE Day or week?
Yeah, I mean, in Ottawa, certainly quite a long time ago, I know that we had IOD week and we were able to fly the IOD flag down at City Hall.
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And something like that across the country would be great.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know we're going to have IODE month for the month of October. So that is going to be the whole month rather than just a week like we did this past year and the other years. But, if you get together on Founders Day, I know we're going to have a
Party.
I think a birthday party on Founders Day. So, get your chapters together during Founders Day week or something like that and, celebrate that and invite the press. Like there's no, or I even watch, I think it's CTV, the morning show every morning, and they want to know what's happening in your community. So you just sort of send it on an email. If they don't say, they might not reply, but I think the thing is for getting new members, for getting everything, we have to start tooting our own horn, and we have to be one of those people where you're right, Janet, saying IODE is here. We're still doing good things. This is what we're doing. And that was the whole purpose of having different chapters write their history. So that way, when somebody comes to you and says, so what does your chapter do? What does IODE do? Then you can say, we've done this and this and this and this and this. And you share your history with every member in your chapter. And that way they can all say, oh yeah, we've gone a long way. We've done a lot. And that was the whole sort of the whole idea of doing the history of the chapter.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking something on national TV across the country, if it was a quarter of an hour or something, with the history, I'm sure lots of people would find it really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think we need to be in a Murdoch mystery.
Yeah.
I think, did he not at one time mention?
You know what? I don't know. I had family visiting from Europe, and they happened to be in Kingston when they were doing some filming, and I thought, oh, how cool is that? But I know, I mean, certainly a lot of Canadian trivia is in that show. So anyway, all right. If we don't have anything else, we're a little over, but that's because I kept on flipping in and out, so I apologize for that. And now I'm getting more snow. So
oh gosh.
Oh, well, we were happy to share it.
I'm sure.
Anyway, I want to thank Renata for being the recorder, and Nadine for being the note taker, and all of you for coming today. And I'm sure I'll see all of you relatively soon.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.